Hello, welcome to this very special edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting from the Highline Ballroom as part of this year's 2017 Blue Note Jazz Festival. And what better way to kick off this year's festival is with a dynamic talent who, when she arrived here in New York City well over a decade ago, she not only paid her dues and cut her chops, but she developed herself, one, as a classy vocalist as well as a trumpeter. Bria Skonberg hails from Chilliwak, British Columbia, and her brand new record, With the Twist, which is now out on Okeh Records, is really a very unique departure from the recording that she did. In fact, this album she paired up again with producer Matt Pierson as well as arranger Gil Goldstein, and they do some dynamic original music as well as standards. Now, what makes Bria so very different is that, one, while she has been here in New York City, she's played with some original Dixieland bands as well as ragtime bands, as well as played straight ahead, but she's being vocally compared to vocal greats like Anita O'Day as well as the great Ella Fitzgerald, just to name the endless few. But she's bringing a very unique twist to her generation as far as how jazz music as well as contemporary music can fuse and be mixed to fans both here and abroad. Tonight I had a chance to sit down and break bread with her to talk about her origins growing up in Chilliwak, how she was exposed to jazz, as well as how she's been able to take both the vocal side as well as the trumpet side and fuse it, as well as talk about some of her major influences.
I like to run in the rain, feel the droplets getting colder, the chill runs through my veins, makes me act a little bolder. The sidewalk is my stage, sing a little louder, and as the visions scatter above the people's chatter, I hear harmony, a baritone so blue. It caught me by surprise, a little out of tune, but full of passion and a pride. I turned around to hear that voice that entered my sonata, and as we landed on a fermata, I knew it was the start of a different tune. Oh, maybe you're the same kind of crazy. You do the violins, they've never sounded better. The melody begins, and I hope it lasts forever. You look me in the eye, signaling the fanfare of the press. So we take a chance and we start to dance straight into the storm.
congratulations on this brand new record.
Thank you.
You know, we've been trying to get this interview done for so long, and I'm so glad that we had a chance to sit down and break bread. The new record is With a Twist, and this is a very different twist from your last recording.
Yes, well, the similarities first are that I did both records working with producer Matt Pierson, and last time, the last album called Bria is about, owning in, finding the right place for both my voice and my trumpet to live, and this record is kind of like that record on steroids 2.0. We brought in arranger Gil Goldstein and a different instrumentation. It's got flutes and trombones and a marimba. It's really adventurous. It's definitely ambitious.
Well, this is good for, you're coming out the gate with Okeh Records. This is the second project, and one of the things that I noticed listening to this record, you do a Bjork song on this record, and I'm wondering, how do we make the transition to Bjork in the jazz world?
Well, I think Bjork is one of those artists, there are many artists that kind of just transcend genre. My favorites are, Joni Mitchell, Stevie Wonder, even Steely Dan or Prince, people. And Bjork is definitely an artist above and beyond. But if you can believe it, that song is actually from the 1950s. And Betty Hutton was a vocalist and a wonderful woman and female comedian entertainer. And check out her version, because honestly, Bjork does a pretty close version to what Betty Hutton did, just screaming and yelling and having fun with it. And again, I think the idea with this album, With a Twist, was I asked Matt Pierson that we could, let's get some songs that kind of have a big range, and he said, I have an idea. Wouldn't it be crazy if we did this? And I said, yes, let's do it. So yeah, it's oh so quiet. It's exciting.
Let's talk about working with Matt, because Matt has had a very important career in all genres of music. And what is it about Matt that you can really feel comfortable with as far as putting the musical concept together as well as piecing the musicians and the songs together?
Well, Matt loves music, and he's always listening to music, always going out and checking out new people. He studied he was in Detroit, actually, and he was a lead trumpet player. He went to school for that, so we had a lot in common. But I think just he's so level-headed. He has a great way of presenting information. I appreciate to an artist under stressful circumstances, but in a way where we can really kind of think about it and bring it together. He's always got good ideas, but he's not pushy about them. We've worked together for a couple of years now, and even if whatever happens, I think we're friends above all.
And you have a stellar Sullivan Fortner, who was the international piano winner. You got him playing on this. You have Scott Colley on bass, as well as Matt Wilson on drum.
Yeah, very, very lucky. Matt Wilson I met a couple of years ago at the Centrum Jazz Camp. I love workshop musical education environments, and knowing somebody in that setting just lets you get into kind of their mindset and their heart and knowing their sound. So again, Matt was the perfect person for it. Scott I just met through this, and knowing that him and Matt worked together, Matt Pierson again hooked that up. Sullivan is incredible. I've kind of crossed paths with him, or at least loving New Orleans jazz music, and him specializing in a lot of it. Also on some of the tracks, the orchestrated tracks, Aaron Goldberg plays piano in there too, and some roses, all sorts of stuff going on. Gil Goldstein did some keys on there. There's a lot going on, but the players are incredible. Again, they're just very giving and very open-minded, which is important.
My baby don't care for clothes. My baby don't care for shows. My baby just cares for me. My baby don't care for cars and races. My baby don't care for high-tone places. Miss Taylor is not his style, and even Angelina's smile is something he can't see. My baby don't care who knows it. My baby just cares for me. baby just cares for me.
You know, I set the piece up. You know, you are now officially a Juno Award winner now. That last record was your debut for Okeh. And tell everybody now, you know, the Juno is the equivalent of the Grammys here in the United States.
Yeah, it's been a really wild experience. I mean, definitely a long-term dream. That being said, you know, we don't make recordings going, I want to win a Grammy. I mean, I want to win a Juno. I mean, you want to do that, but if you make an album with that intention, I don't think it'll ever get there. So it was just, you know, the industry giving a little like nod and push of encouragement along the way. That's what it feels like, and a big accolade, of course, to be recognized by my home country, Canada. And and they actually just today it came in the mail because we had the award ceremony, but it had to get engraved for them to send it. So as of today, I have a Juno Award. It's exciting.
You know, you are in a great line of great female Canadian jazz musicians. You got the Jensen sisters, and you have Diana Krall, and now you. Tell the viewers out here, you know, you're from British Columbia. Chile, I could just pronounce it.
Chilliwak.
Chilliwak. How did a young lady like yourself get really exposed to the arts, but also trumpet? Because the trumpet and trombone, they're not very easy instruments to play and master.
I mean, by women?
No, just those are very hard instruments.
Jeez, I set you up. Well, I played trumpet because my dad played trumpet back in high school, and when it came to grade 7 band, he just said play trumpet, and I said okay, because I was 12. You do it, you do what you're told. And there were always females in my band classes all the way through college, and so I just never thought of it as anything different. And my teachers didn't treat me any differently, so that's the best thing I can do. You know, just don't make it a thing. At this point, we're able to say that because of a lot of people that have worked hard to get us to that position. But I highly credit public school band directors, a nice local community that had a jazz festival. Chilliwak actually had a jazz festival for over 20 years, so I got to see people, you know, experience music live. A lot of jazz recordings, you know, they're fuzzy, they're old, they don't translate so much to a younger generation, but when you can see people playing it and you get the opportunity to dance and have a good time, you know, it creates a culture that's really inviting. I was actually just in Nanaimo last week, which is the home of the Jensen sisters and Diana Krall, and sure enough, there was, you know, excellent band teachers. There's a community there that loves and supports them, and you know, it just that's all I can say. I think education is key.
And you know, you have some serious chops. You graduated from university with, and then your concentration was Jazz Trumpet Performance, right?
Yes. I graduated from Capilano University in a jazz program, which was wonderful. I mean, I think all of us professionals, if you went through that program, you think, oh, remember that time when it was just 10 hours a day of studying and being, you know, working so hard, pushing, and not that now isn't like that, but a lot of it is based around building a career and recording and different things. But man, I'd love to have that, you know, 4 hours of practicing a day back in my life.
You know, one of the things I truly admire about you, and when I first saw you, when I moved to New York a little over 9 years ago, I saw you play, and I knew you were legitimate because you played a lot of Dixieland and a lot of big band, and I've seen you play with many ensembles. And one of the things I found out about you, interestingly enough, is you're a very big fan of Sidney Bechet and Louis Armstrong and music of the beginnings of jazz music.
Oh, definitely. And again, I credit that to my high school band directors. I joined a combo. We had a Dixieland jazz combo at the high school where they gave me stuff like Potato Head Blues and West End Blues to try and tackle as a 14, 15-year-old, and I didn't know any better, so I just tried. And the music was challenging. It was fun. And since then I've just getting a scope of the grand scene. It's made me just be so appreciative to have that, because basically, I mean, when you read a book, you start at the beginning so that you can get the character development, you get the bits and pieces of the story. And for me, starting my journey of jazz at the beginning, or anybody to start there, just makes so much sense. The development of melodies, rhythms, how they came together, people coming together in New Orleans or in the South of America from different cultures, how that happened. I mean, it's really the story of the United States at the same time, which even these days it's important to go back and see and try to understand and respect how that happened and where and when.
Bria, what made you decide to not go to California and just cut your chops here in New York? And thinking back 10 years now, do you think that was the best thing for you? And what do you give other musicians who are really trying to get out there? What do you tell them about this?
I actually did want to move to California because I grew up on the West Coast, and everybody's like, palm trees and Hollywood and glamorous lifestyle and California dreaming, and I definitely wanted to go that way and be a star, but enough factors. I had met a lot of musicians more from the East Coast with the scene that I was in. One of my good friends had moved out. I just had more of a network, a community in New York, and ultimately just realized that this is New York. It's an intimidating place for many people. But I wanted to get uncomfortable. I wanted to be challenged. I wanted to, just get to the heart of it. And thankfully, New York just cut through all my BS on my Bria Skonberg. Not that there's plenty of that to go around, but it's helpful. It was such a great education and opportunity to kind of be in the pond of the best, but also where honesty and integrity are most rewarded, and authenticity above all. And California has a lot of strengths too, but musically, this is where I needed to be to grow. And I'm glad, as a person, as a player.
let's go into the vocal part of Bria Skonberg. Now, as we said earlier, the trumpet and the trombone are very, very complicated instruments to play, but the vocal part is something that you have to train also. And I need to know, where did the singing part come in?
I think everybody likes to sing. Do you like to sing?
No.
You like to sing when nobody's listening?
Right.
Yeah, everybody's like to sing. You know, it feels good, right? You know, so I loved, singing early on, and again, wanted to perform, but I was actually a really shy kid. So I'd practice some things on my own, but didn't really have the confidence to do it openly. And then maybe I think that playing trumpet kind of gave me some confidence and performance experience to do those things. In ninth grade, I tried out for the school musical and got the part of Sandy in Grease. So I was hopelessly devoted to John Travolta and whatnot. So that was a big opening experience. And after that, I joined the school jazz choir. I had the opportunity to sing with a big band, a local big band, which was really great. And I'm lucky in that, you know, trumpet allows me kind of some golden ticket into some experiences. Like I'll play fourth trumpet in a section and sing a couple songs here and there. So all those things together helped me build confidence. Ultimately, the high school band stayed together after college, and I got into managing it and hustling gigs, and it was there that was really the lab of being able to try material and learn it, and just experience has kind of been the way for me. I did take some vocal lessons in college and locally. Rosanna Vitro, I took a couple lessons with her. Also Alexis Cole helped me with, you know, it's another instrument.
Both of them are great vocalists.
Oh, they're incredible, and really good teachers, which is very important. And I've just been working. Part of it is, you know, the skills, the different, I mean, they're both rooted in air support, but I've had to, it's more about time management and how to warm up both and work them into the set. It's a journey. I'm still learning.
Another high point I love about your musicianship, and I've been saying this covering jazz for a long time, a lot of jazz musicians forgot how to swing, and you come out the gate. You come out the gate with the sawed off, the AK-47. You come out shooting, and this is just it's and you know, you have to take that as a compliment, because you know, when you're doing what you're doing, it's very hard to keep an audience for 80 minutes, 90 minutes, and what you're doing, you're bringing three traditions of the idiom of jazz. You're singing, you're playing trumpet, and sometimes you're singing some of those old Tin Pan Alley songs also.
Oh, right. Yeah, I like making an entrance. I mean, I'm a trumpet player. You know, trumpets are fanfare instruments. You know, it's nice to make an entrance, but then also, you know, bring an audience in. I've been toying a lot with kind of drama and how to work that into a show. But I think I'm just going to say that listening to Louis Armstrong early on, I mean, he was just the truth, and then some, and everybody beyond that, of course, Clifford Brown, Clark Terry, Roy Eldridge. Those are a lot of my favorite players that are just fiery, and I think just listening to them is where my heart likes to be. So at least to start a set, I like a strong entrance.
Tell everybody about your musical influences. I understand that Anita O'Day is high on that list.
Yeah, for vocalists, definitely. Anita O'Day. I discovered her from seeing that clip on Jazz on a Summer's Day at the Newport Festival. And she was just so interesting to listen to as a horn player. And the way that she would just kind of bend and manipulate notes and rhythms. And, you know, she was really just flying in many ways. But after a while, I just started digging into more of her music. Her stuff with the Oscar Peterson Trio is so delicious. Just like, she's one of those artists I've just kind of hung out with for a long time. You know, you can go for walks, listen to just her albums and such. So she's a big influence. You know, I also love the depth of like Sarah Vaughan and Nina Simone. I mean, what an incredible person and artist. Ella Fitzgerald, of course, love, and Billie Holiday. I mean, those are the greats. But in the same strain as Anita O'Day, June Christie is a favorite. Again, you know, people that kind of play around with melodies and such. Again, as a horn player, I find them extra interesting.
What is it that Bria Skonberg wants to bring to the idiom of jazz, but also music? Because you're relatively young, and you, like I said, you're coming out swinging. What is it that you want people to understand, and what you want to express musically to people?
You know, that's interesting, because I still really feel, and I think we all do, that I'm a student of the music and such. So it's only been in recent years where I've done more original music, where the question has been, what do I want to say? What do I want to share? Or how do I put myself into the music, I guess. I think I want people to feel something these days. We're either robots or we're consumed with the tension and around the globe and such. And I try to put a lot of heart into my music in a way that hopefully gets people just brings people together. That's ultimately what I want. Not to sound like Mother Teresa, but it's just music is a binding common factor, and I'm always amazed wherever I travel in the world that people can come together and literally have an experience that brings them joy, brings them something that they can bring forward to the other people that they touch. So I just try to share positive vibes right now. Yeah.
The writing part, you're writing. You said writing is a part of shedding, and it's very personal. What joy and what kind of angst do you have when you're writing personal songs?
It's interesting to see what bubbles up, stylistically. I mean, I'd gone through jazz college and my head was all full of this complicated stuff, and the first stuff that came out was like a funky Jamiroquai thing or like a doo-wop something. I think maybe I just wanted to cleanse the palate a little bit. I think the trick with writing songs, especially because I write a lot of lyrics, is putting yourself and putting specific, references into the music, things that you have experienced. But what that means is you're basically sharing your personal experiences with a lot of people that you don't know. So there's a level of comfort that has to go with that. And I think I've gotten more into it because the more that I've put myself into the music, the more I've realized that like-minded people have gravitated back. So I connect with an audience in a deeper way, and they inform some of the things that I do. It's the quickest way to an honest connection with others is to kind of be honest with yourself and then make that part of your music. So that's where I'm at.
That'll do it again for this very special edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the Highline Ballroom here in New York City as part of this year's 2017 Blue Note Jazz Festival. I'd like to personally congratulate Ms. Bria Skonberg on her brand new recording, With the Twist, which is now available on Okeh Records. You can now buy it on Amazon.com as well as iTunes. For more information on Bria's upcoming tour dates and club dates, please visit her online and as well as Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to personally thank the staff and management here at the Highline Ballroom for their warm hospitality, Ms. Angie Barkin over at Okeh Records, as well as Carmen Sistu for arranging my time with Bria. Also, I'd like to personally thank the organizers of this year's 2017 Blue Note Jazz Festival. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.